Morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger Johnson and Seema Katecha.
Hello, good morning. Our headlines today: a second night of rioting in the Netherlands over COVID restrictions as rising case numbers mean tougher controls in mainland Europe.
New videos emerge of Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai following concern that the player has gone missing.
An investigation is launched into whether there is racial bias in the design of some medical devices used in the NHS.
Good morning. In the sport, Manchester United have lost again. So is this a wave goodbye? As speculation mounts that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on the verge of being sacked after a dismal defeat to Watford.
And we meet the 6-year-old golfer who only took up the sport a year ago and has already qualified for Junior World Championships in America. Good morning. It's a colder feeling day than we had yesterday, but there's more sunshine around. Also a few showers, particularly towards the east today. I'll bring you all the details throughout this morning's programme.
Morning, it's Sunday, November the 21st. Our main story today: there's been another night of rioting in the Netherlands against new lockdown rules amid rising COVID-19 cases in parts of Europe.
Protests have also taken place in Austria, Croatia and Italy after some governments moved to bring in new restrictions. The World Health Organization said it was very worried about rising coronavirus cases on the continent. Our Europe correspondent Anna Holligan has more.
Another Dutch city rocked by discontent. In The Hague, protesters burned bicycles and pelted police with stones and fireworks. Officers used horses, dogs, batons and bikes to chase them away. Earlier, anti-vax demonstrators brought their beats to the southern city of Breda. While most Dutch people accept the need for tighter rules, the distrust is spreading.
We have to live with Corona because it's not... People want to live, right? So that's my opinion, and that's why we're here with all the people.
The night before, there were rampages in Rotterdam. Riot police fired live rounds. 3 demonstrators were hit and taken to hospital. It's still unclear if their injuries were caused by police gunfire. Restrictions in the Netherlands began last Saturday and will remain until at least the start of December.
The streets here are peaceful right now, but pockets of discontent exist across the country and the atmosphere remains volatile. The Netherlands is among several European countries battling record infection rates, and many governments are considering or implementing tougher measures targeting the unvaccinated.
In Austria, supporters of the far-right Freedom Party marched against mandatory coronavirus vaccinations. A 20-day lockdown will start next week. Denmark's capital, Copenhagen, witnessed discord too. Germany fears a national healthcare emergency. New rules are expected for those who haven't had their jabs. The World Health Organization has again sounded the alarm, calling for anti-coronavirus measures to be stepped up as a matter of urgency.
Implementing the basic measures like masks, average 48% of the European population is wearing a mask indoor. Any percentage above that will have an immediate effect, much more attention to be paid to ventilation, and finally 2 new treatment protocols which have to be standardized.
As the 4th wave crashes across the continent, countries are struggling to ease pressure on the health services and the streets. Anna Holligan, BBC News, in The Hague.
Now, the Foreign Office has joined international calls for China to prove that the tennis player Peng Shuai is safe and well.
Yes, Chinese state media has posted more footage claiming to show the star living freely, but the videos haven't been verified. She's been missing since claiming in early November that she was sexually exploited by a former high-ranking government official. James Reynolds has got this report.
This unverified video was posted by the editor of a state-run newspaper. The footage claims to show Peng Shuai in the white top having dinner last night at a Beijing restaurant with her coach and friends. The tennis player is shown listening, but not speaking. The video raises many questions.
The clip starts with someone off screen saying, "Now is the perfect time." Okay, now is perfect. Then there's a 2-second pause, and then the coach goes into this remark in which he hammers home that it's November 21st. So it seems incredibly scripted, and even they didn't cut out the director's cue at the very beginning of the video. So the whole thing is incredibly bizarre, but creepy and sinister.
The same editor then posted this video purporting to show Peng Shuai, who's second on the left, being introduced this morning at a youth tennis tournament in China's capital. The state media also released these unverified and undated stills on Friday. But this rapid accumulation of state-provided material does not convince the increasing numbers who are calling for independent proof. In a statement released last night, the Foreign Office said the Chinese authorities should urgently provide verifiable evidence of her safety and whereabouts. Everyone should be allowed to speak out without fear of repercussions. All reports of sexual assault anywhere in the world should be investigated. Peng Shuai, a winner of 2 Grand Slam doubles tournaments, including Wimbledon, is well known on the tennis circuit. The Women's Tennis Association has threatened to cancel its many events in China unless it can assure itself of her well-being. James Reynolds, BBC News.
Well, our China correspondent John Sudworth is in Taiwan for us and has more detail on this. I mean, John, the Chinese authorities appear to be keen to release videos of Peng, but not facilitate direct contact. So will the growing international pressure, do you think, prompt them to change tactics here?
Well, Seema, I think what's interesting with this latest video is that unlike the other bits of material, as we heard in James's report there, where there were serious doubts about the authenticity, I think it's likely that this one is genuine, not only because it's a video of an event that took place in Beijing this morning, but because the event organisers of that tournament have also posted those photos showing Peng Shuai there being introduced to the audience. But even having said that, I don't think the questions will go away. It isn't really proof of whereabouts, proof of life that the international tennis authorities and fellow tennis stars and governments have been demanding. It's proof of Peng Shuai's freedom, that she's not under duress, that she's able to go and say what she wants. And I think, you know, when you consider that there can be few things as politically sensitive in China as accusing a former vice premier of sexual assault, then you have to conclude that the real bind for China here is that the more it tries to show that everything is normal, the more questions are raised. And the Women's Tennis Association has already said in response to this appearance at this tournament that its concerns have not yet been answered.
I mean, John, there's so much international attention on this story. I mean, how sure can we be that she is actually missing and potentially in trouble?
As with many things in China, we cannot be sure of very much at all. We know the allegations she made, and we know that she hasn't been seen in public since, except these bits of material put out on state media. This isn't that unusual. High-profile figures go missing in China fairly frequently, and also state media often, as a result of pressure from the international community, collaborates in forced confessions or releasing proof of life videos. I think the danger for China is just a few weeks ahead of an Olympics. This risks exposing the gulf between an event that's meant to be all about openness and friendship and a political system that's only about control.
Thank you, John Sudworth, there with the latest from Taiwan. I mean, there's so much, some professional tennis players today in the papers calling out, questions, asking where this woman may be is obviously a lot of concern.
Yeah, indeed. Now, the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, says it's unacceptable that some medical devices used by the NHS may be less effective on black and minority ethnic patients.
So he's commissioned a review into racial bias in equipment, including oximeters, which measure oxygen in the blood, but tend to give inaccurate readings for people with darker skin. Now, the review will also address the issues of certain procedures, like MRI scans, being unavailable to pregnant and breastfeeding women.
Now, from tomorrow, people aged over 40 will be able to book their COVID booster jab. 16 and 17-year-olds will also be invited to sign up for a second jab. It's hoped that increased uptake will offer greater protection to individuals and shield the NHS from extra pressure from coronavirus admissions.
Well, the booster is really important in giving extra protection over and beyond the 2 doses that people have already had. And of course, it's very effective at boosting that long-term protection against severe disease from COVID. So if you're invited in to get the booster, it's really important you make that appointment and get it as soon as possible.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.